All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're decoding the matrix of critical thinking, and we're going to learn exactly how manipulative debaters secretly rig the game before they even make their actual argument.
So, picture this. You walk into a high-stakes negotiation or a tense debate. Your opponent opens their mouth and throws out a claim or a number that is just so completely outrageous, you actually laugh out loud. You think to yourself, okay, this person has completely overplayed their hand. So you counter their ridiculous claim, you negotiate them down, and boom, you walk away feeling like an absolute genius. But what if I told you that you didn't win at all? Actually, scratch that. What if that extreme, ridiculous opening statement was a calculated psychological trap designed to hack your nervous system and you fell for it perfectly? You didn't win. You just got anchored.
Section 1. The illusion of winning.
Now, I really want to directly challenge some of those past victories you might be holding on to, because the terrifying truth is that your standard perception of reality during an argument might be completely flawed. You know, we think we're being hyper-logical, but a lot of times we're just playing right into our opponent's hands.
Let's do a brutally honest reality check here. Imagine you're walking onto a car dealership lot. You spot a car you really like, and bam, you see this massive sticker price right on the windshield. $30,000.
So, you roll up your sleeves, you do battle with the salesperson, and you talk them down to 25 grand. You sign the papers and you're driving off the lot celebrating like you just won the lottery, right? You literally feel like a master negotiator. But here is the brutal reality. That car, it was only worth $15,000 to begin with. You didn't get a good deal. Your brain was anchored by that initial $30,000 sticker, and you didn't even know it.
Which brings us to Section 2, the brain's broken calculator.
And this is the core of the anchoring effect. It happens when the very first piece of information you encounter about a topic disproportionately influences all of your subsequent judgments. It's a seriously dangerous information processing bias. Look, your brain is, quite frankly, kind of lazy. It just wants to conserve energy. So when it hears an opening argument or a starting price, it locks onto that initial reference point like a magnet.
So why does this cognitive blind spot even exist? Well, your brain is constantly trying to solve this impossible problem of making sense of an infinitely complex world, but with super limited time and processing power. To survive, it desperately needs cognitive shortcuts. It locks onto those initial starting prices or arguments and treats that very first piece of information as the ultimate reference point. And here's the most terrifying part of all this. This negatively impacts your thinking even when you consciously know the initial information is highly unreliable. Even when you absolutely know it's a ridiculous starting point, your brain is chained to it, violently forced to make adjustments from there.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the insufficient adjustment trap. So here's exactly how this trap is set. Your opponent controls the frame by dropping a really extreme anchor. And because your brain treats that first piece of info as a baseline, it furiously tries to correct the error by dragging the conversation away. But your adjustment is almost never enough to reach objective truth. You simply don't move far enough away from their starting point.
Just consider this cynical reality check for a second. If someone tells you the sky is neon green, and you argue that it's actually light green, you haven't won. You just let them drag you halfway into their delusion. Most people in debates are just arguing over the details of a premise that is entirely fabricated. By engaging with an extreme fabricated premise, you aren't pointing out their flaws. You're actually validating their lies. You're just playing on their chessboard.
So, how do we beat this? Let's get into Section 4, the strategic anchoring framework.
This framework is literally your psychological cheat code to stop adjusting to other people's nonsense. We're going to break down 3 tactical steps to assert total dominance in any discussion. Step 1. Set the baseline first. Step 2. Reject and re-anchor. And Step 3. Uncover hidden assumptions.
Okay, step 1, set the baseline first. If you know you're entering a highly contentious topic, whatever you do, do not wait to react. You've got to drop the heavy iron first. You have to be the one to establish that initial reference point. In a negotiation, this means making the initial offer. In a debate, it means establishing ambitious goals or really strong premises early on. By setting the anchor yourself, you make all of your subsequent, maybe more modest points seem incredibly reasonable by comparison.
But, what happens if they manage to speak first and throw out some ridiculous anchor? Well, that brings us to step 2, reject and re-anchor. You must absolutely refuse to engage with their anchor. Just don't do it. Do not negotiate the distance from it. Don't try to find some middle ground. The absolute second you start making incremental adjustments away from their baseline, you become a victim.
Seriously, I want you to memorize this exact verbal script. When they throw out a manipulative anchor, look them in the eye and say, "That premise is entirely disconnected from reality, so we aren't going to start there. The actual baseline is X." Use these exact words. Identify their manipulation out loud, refuse to play their game, and immediately establish a brand new evidence-based baseline. Just watch their entire strategy crumble.
And finally, we have step 3, uncover hidden assumptions. If you want to truly dismantle an opponent's anchor and render it totally powerless, you've got to dig deeply into why they started there in the very first place.
To do this, we use first principles thinking. You need to break down the complex problem into its fundamental components. Ask your opponent directly to justify their anchor. Literally ask them, why did you start there? By forcing them to surface their hidden assumptions, you get to test whether their argument actually stands on solid ground, or if you can completely expose it as manipulative fluff. It is hands down the ultimate way to strip manipulative arguers of their greatest weapon.
So I'm going to leave you with this pretty provocative question. Who is controlling the reality of the room? Remember, the person who sets the anchor controls the reality. A genuine master of rhetoric never lets an opponent's extreme opening statement dictate the boundaries of the debate. If you want to master the rest of these cognitive frameworks and keep upgrading your mental operating system, make sure to subscribe to our explainers. We're decoding the matrix of critical thinking every single week. So until next time, stay sharp and always drop your ankle first.